So today we are going to talk about the choice of specialty. As many of you get ready to apply for residency positions and are getting ready to send in your applications, this question has been asked of us by several students. Which specialty should I apply to? How do I demonstrate my fit for that specialty? How do I make my profile competitive for that specialty? So to answer all these questions, we did a couple of things. We looked at the NRMP match data over the last 5 years. So we looked at the trends. And I want to thank Dr. George Koshi-Villaninam, who helped us analyze that data, and we used his analysis in this video. So we analyzed the NRMP trend, so that gives you some indication of the match rate of the IMGs versus the DO applicants versus the AMG. So you can see the competitiveness of that specialty. And then we combined it with our own data, the data from our own USMLEsarthi match students. So with all this, we took 6 specialties, the 6 most common specialties that IMGs apply to: internal medicine, family medicine, pediatrics, psychiatry, pathology, and neurology. So we looked at each one of these specialties, and this analysis is what we are going to share with you in this video. So take a look and let us know how we can help you. So in this video, we'll go over the top 6 specialties that IMGs and Caribbean applicants focus on, and using the NRMP data and data from the Sarthi match students, we will tell you some of the intricacies of these specialties, what works and what can you focus on. And of course, special thanks to Dr. George Koshi-Villaninam, who helped us analyze the NRMP data and has agreed to share it here for this video. So of course, remember, exceptions are always there. Models and analysis don't capture the individual profile and the situation, and successful match depends on a variety of factors, some of which are qualitative. So take these suggestions as guidance for your own strategy and planning. And the goal, of course, of this analysis is to help you understand the real situation. For example, lower scores filter for a specialty or a higher match rate cannot be considered in isolation, though of course these things help. So let's start with family medicine. Now, if you look at the 2 charts here, which is the NRMP data from the past 5 years, one thing should stand out, which is the increasing number of DO graduates that have been filling the positions in FM. So if you look at these trends here, the red dot, the red one here is the DO graduates that are matched. So that is a very, very significant change in family medicine, as you can see. So in addition to the increasing DO match, what do you see? You also see a decrease in both the non-US IMGs and the US IMG fill rate for family medicine. So for example, here in 2016 it was around maybe 35%, and now you are close to 27-28%. So that is a fact that the IMG match rate in family medicine has gone down. There is, of course, if you look at the NRMP data, there is an increasing trend of step 1 higher scores, and step 2 CK scores have both increased. Generally, you will see that non-US applicants, the non-US IMGs, have higher mean score than the matched US IMG in step 1 and CK, which I think is not surprising. NRMP data shows you that. Now, what decides if your profile is a good fit for FM? So obviously, if you have extensive experience in primary care, preventive care, women's health, that's a very strong alignment with family medicine. What we've also seen is applicants with home country residency, especially in OB/GYN, they tend to do very well in the family medicine match for obvious reasons. Again, women's health and primary care focus. USMPH, if you have USMPH, your profile absolutely improves for family medicine. So public health related topics and some of the projects that you may do. Family medicine is increasingly not doing visas. So if you don't need visa, that kind of improves your chances for family medicine. So if you do need visa, it doesn't mean that you cannot match. Most of our students who need visa, and if they had a recent YOG, they tend to match, if the score is 230 plus in both steps. So visa seeking applicants can also match. They do match in family medicine as well. So who will find the family medicine match challenging? So I mentioned, if you need visa but your year of graduation is high, so 5 plus, it'll be a challenge for you. Too much gap is a detriment to any specialty or most specialties, and family medicine is one of them. So if you have too much gap, it becomes difficult. The other thing you will notice in almost all specialties, the days of the backup specialties are long gone. So if your CV lacks focus on family medicine, primary care, etc., and it is clear from your CV that IM is your primary goal, then you will find the match in FM very difficult. Now, what can you do, or what should you do to make a good profile ready for the FM match? Well, if you are in your home country, then get some primary care experience. Strong primary care experience will always help you. Research is never going to go waste, so do case reports, even if they are non-PubMed index journals. That's true for most specialties. Again, if you are in your home country, can do some tele-rotations. That's not a bad idea. It obviously is not as productive or as useful as on-site rotations, but tele-rotations are increasingly getting importance now. And of course, like I mentioned, MPH is a good option to explore if you are in your home country and are looking. If you are in the US, of course, rotations, nothing beats primary care rotations. And relevant research, there is enough research to be done in primary care. So it's not that FM doesn't count research. So relevant research will always be useful. And we also carry research projects for our students with our students. So look that up. Research will always be useful. Now let's go to neurology. So you will see the same two charts for neurology based on the NRMP data for the past 5 years. And what do you see? This is definitely a good sign. There is an increase in both non-US IMG and IMG fill rate. So as you can see, from about 20% in 2016, we are up now, maybe about 33-34%. So definitely neurology is a specialty where you are seeing a lot of percentage increase in the IMG match rate. So that's a good sign. Look at the NRMP data not shown here. You will see the trend of increasing scores in step 1 and CK for both the US and non-US IMGs. Obviously, you can see the other thing, which is the DO fill rate has increased, but the IMG fill rate has significantly increased over the past 5 years. This is primarily, so if you look at it here, the DO rate has increased, but the IMG rate has also increased, and it's obvious that the US grads are going less into neurology, so that may be a factor that is helping IMG match rate. So something to keep in mind. Now, who is a good fit for neurology as an IMG? Obviously recent graduate. So most specialties do prefer recent graduate. If you're a recent graduate, great. Electives, rotations in any specialty are good for that specialty's match, and neurology is not an exception. However, one thing which kind of stands out for neurology is strong IM rotations definitely help, because first year is mostly IM, so that is something that you can use in neurology. Relevant research, neurology is very research focused, so relevant research will always help you. Visa is not an issue in neurology. If you're a visa seeking applicant, neurology is quite open to you. Now, which profiles will find neurology challenging? If your year of graduation is more than 5 years but you have no research, so that is a definite challenge in neurology. You have no related rotations, that obviously will come back to haunt you. I think that is obvious. Too much gap, like in many specialty, same in neuro. But there are things that you can do for an improved profile in neurology. What can you do? Relevant work experience. Many of our students in their home countries tend to have relevant neuro-specific work experience. Research, like I mentioned, neuro is a research heavy specialty, definitely will help. If you are in your home country, telerotations are worth exploring. If you are in the US, of course, like I said, relevant research. If you are able to find full-time research positions at many of the top universities that typically give out these positions, take it. Although there may be times like the current ones when the research positions are difficult to find, but relevant research and rotations would be the way to look at the neuro match. Then we come to pathology, one of the other specialties that has become increasingly in favor with the IMGs. So again, if you look at the NRMP data from the past 5 years, you will see there is a distinct increase in non-US IMG fill rate. There was an increase in the US IMG fill rate, but it flattened out in 2020. But the point here is that the IMG fill rate has increased, as you can see here, from about 40%. So we are very close to 50%. So 50% of all the spots in pathology are given to IMG. So that's a good sign. Overall, scores are also increasing. If you look at the NRMP reports, there's an increasing trend for, if you have a match student, then the scores are on a rise. But the increase is not that significant. What that means is pathology is very lenient on the scores, and we have seen that as well with our successful pathology applicants. They have a pathology focused CV, may include home country residency or USCE research, but scores are not as important as, say, in IM. So what makes you a good fit for pathology? What profiles are a good fit? Home country residency is your ticket to a US residency. If you have a home country residency in pathology, your chances of match here increase many times. And pathology experience, rotations, like in other specialties, those rotations will help. Research, this is one specialty that if you have basic sciences research is very powerful for your pathology CV. PhD. Now this is another thing which in other specialties may not help that much, because if you spend time in PhD, you are away from the clinical side of things, but in pathology, PhD really tends to help you. Visa is not an issue. Pathology is completely open to visa seeking IMGs. But that doesn't mean pathology is, easy and anyone can just go and match in pathology. That's not true. Again, if your CV clearly shows that you have not worked towards a pathology profile and you just woke up one day to apply to pathology, that's not going to happen. So no related rotation, same idea. If you do not have rotations or experience, it's not going to help you. No research, yes. If you have sufficient rotations or experience, then probably you don't need research, but research in pathology is a good idea if you have no rotations. How can you improve your pathology profile? If you are in your home country, then working in path labs, etc. helps. Research, basic sciences will definitely help, and relevant work experience or your home country residency. Now, telerotations are hard in pathology, so I don't know how useful that will be, but try to publish, and if you can get 3 to 6 months of on-site rotations, that will definitely help. And research, now what we have seen is many research, even if not directly in pathology, can be aligned to pathology. So if your research area can be aligned to pathology, that's a very good sign, and programs like it. So that may help you. Next, we come to psychiatry. This is another quote-unquote specialty that has been quite hot and getting competitive. So let's look at the reasons. So the reasons are obvious in the data. There is a significant decline in the US IMGs and non-US IMGs fill rate. As you can see, from 21% in 2016 to about 15% in 2020. So from about 21% here to 16, there is a significant decline in the match rate for IMGs. And while the scores have increased for matched applicants, so step 1 and CK scores have increased, there is an increasing competition from the DO applicants over the past 5 years. And the other reason is the US graduates, the American medical graduates, AMGs, are continuing to fill the spots. So this means the overall IMG fill rate is going down. It is becoming quite competitive. So if you look here, the DO match rate is increasing, and likewise the AMG match rate here as well is increasing, which is leading to impact on the US and non-US IMG fill rate. So what makes you a good fit for psychiatry? A couple of quirks in psychiatry that you should be aware of. Recent graduates, especially if you are visa seeking, they are looking at recent graduates. I've spoken to several program directors who actually have a filter, more than 3 years, and they're not going to invite you for an interview unless you have a very strong profile otherwise. So recent graduation helps. Step 3, psychiatry is another specialty that has a big focus on step 3. So if you have taken step 3, you should have a good alignment with psychiatry. Like other specialties, electives, rotations, and research, which is again very powerful in psychiatry, will help you. Psychiatry is moving away from visa seeking applicants unless, like I mentioned, you are a recent graduate. So if you don't need visa, that's a good thing in psychiatry. Now, who will find psychiatry match challenging? Let's see. Like I said, if your year of graduation is higher, 5+, it's harder to get in. If you don't have step 3, unless you're a recent graduate, it is going to be a problematic case for psychiatry. Research, they always look for related research in psychiatry, so try to get that. And how can you improve your profile for psychiatry? Similar, like I mentioned in other specialties, home country experience can be leveraged. It is very powerful. Start preparing for step 3 if you don't have step 3 and you are in your home country. Telerotations, some of the telerotations I've seen are useful, or at least you get good learnings and good LORs from psychiatry, so that's good. If you are in the US, research will help you. Step 3 already mentioned. On-site rotations are very, very useful, so at least 6 months of on-site rotations will be helpful if you are targeting psychiatry. Now let's come to internal medicine, that has the highest spots and the highest number of IMGs tend to match in internal medicine. So maybe very useful for most of you who are watching this video. So what do you see in the data? There has been a decrease in both non-US IMGs and US IMG fill rate, although the decrease surprisingly is more pronounced in the non-US IMGs, as you can see on the chart on the left. There has been a decrease in IMG fill rate from 43 to 38%, so which is not a trivial decline here. From, in 2016 you had close to 43 and now we are at 38%. So there is a perceptible decline in the IMG fill rate. As many of you may already know or may have noticed, there is an increasing trend of higher scores, much higher scores for internal medicine, step 1 and CK for matched applicant. So that continues to be true. There is also an increased number of DO graduates. So this is a trend that you are likely to see, DO graduates competing for the same spots even in IM, but it's not as much as FM. Right? So while you see here the DO graduates are increasing, which may be impacting the fill rate, but it's not as pronounced as. So what determines if you're a good fit for IM? Well, recent graduate, and like many specialties, IM really is focused on recent graduates. Subspecialty or IM direct primary care rotations will help. GI, cardiology, hem-onc, all those rotations will help you. And this is a specialty that goes for higher scores. So, there's no denying the fact that higher scores get you an interview in IM. And if you are a higher year of graduation, more than 3, then research, especially at top institutes, Mayo, Harvard, Cleveland Clinic. Many of our students have done it in past and even now they're doing it. That helps. J1 visa for IM is much easier. A lot of programs are moving away from H1B, although there are still community programs that attract students with H1B. But J1 visa is much easier, and most programs, including almost every university program, gives you a J1. Now, when will an IM match be challenging for you? If you have multiple attempts. So IM is a specialty that doesn't like attempts, although if you have a CS attempt, for example, that can be overcome. But if you have multiple attempts in various steps, hard thing to do in IM. Too much gap. IM again wants you to be clinically current. One of the specialties that really does not like the gap. So the more clinically current you are because of your rotations, recent graduation or other work, you have a good chance in IM. Lack of rigorous rotations, recent rotations is a big thing in IM. I speak to many students, I look at their profiles, and many of them who don't have rotations generally find it difficult in IM. If you are an older graduate, then try to get research, because if you are an older graduate and you have lower scores, then research will be one thing that will help you. So try to get some research. How can you improve your profile for IM? Working in your home country, if you are there, large, busy hospitals, that hands-on experience in a resource-constrained environment is invaluable. A lot of students don't know how to market that experience, how to bring out that experience in their CVs, in their personal statement, and even in their interviews. But believe me, home country experience in large hospitals, busy hospitals really helps. Telerotations, of course, if you are in your home country, try to do some telerotations. Remote research can work. Programs like to see that you can analyze data, you can do literature review, so remote research can work. Volunteer activities, yes, internal medicine does look for you to give back to the community, so these volunteer activities help. If obviously you have not taken your steps or one of the steps, aim for higher scores. That goes without saying. IM does want high scores. If you have low scores in both, then step 3 can help you if you get a 220, 230 plus. If you are in the US and can do on-site rotations, that is always going to be a good thing. 3 to 6 months rotations on-site will help, hands-on preferably. If not, do tele-rotations, but at least try to show that you are clinically current. If you have lower scores, red flags, attempts, step 3, absolutely a must for you. Again, remote research can be okay if in the current scenario you're not able to find full-time research positions at top institutes. Let's look at pediatrics and see what the trends are and what's happening in this field. So again, looking at these two charts on the NRMP data from the past 5 years, you can see there is a slight increase in both non-US IMG and IMG fill rate. So about overall 16% to 19%. So right here you can see from 16 it has gone to 19%, and both the non-US and US IMG match rates have increased. So that's a good sign. Of course, if you look at NRMP data, there is a slight increase overall over 5 years, and which is expected. What is a good fit for pediatrics? Obviously, electives always help in any specialty. So if you look at some of the other videos, we've gone at length about electives. So electives and relevant rotations. Again, if you need visa, it helps to be a recent graduate, relevant research. So nothing surprising in pediatrics. Which applicants will find pediatrics challenging? Like in other specialties, if it is clear that pediatrics is a backup, they don't like it. If your experience is primarily IM and then you're trying to spin a story around pediatrics, it's going to be a hard sell. Too much gaps like IM, they don't like too much gaps. No related rotations. Let's say all your rotations are FM or IM. FM, you can still work if you've looked at some pediatric patient or some relevance, but IM is very hard to sell for pediatrics. No research, especially for older graduates. And how can you improve your profile for pediatrics? Well, working like in IM in larger busy hospitals, remote research may still be okay. Pediatrics related volunteer activities, there are a lot of opportunities in your home countries for peds related volunteer activities, so do that. And if you are in your home country, tele-rotations may be okay. Some of the tele-rotations I've seen are very, very powerful. So take a look at those. If you are in the US, on-site rotations will help. Like in IM, step 3, if you have red flags, and remote research may still be okay. Tele-rotations, if you cannot do on-site rotations, may just be okay. So that was a quick overview of the primary specialties that IMGs target, and what makes a good profile, how can you improve your profile, what should you be aware of as you are looking at these specialties. Hopefully it was useful to you. Let us know how we can help, because we work with hundreds of applicants every year. We've seen every kind of profile, and we can help you match. So good luck for the season.